Yo, what's up? Rio recording a HOTS video in the year 2026. I didn't expect it either, but this is just something that I keep kind of coming back to and thinking about, especially as I play other games like League or things like that. A concept that I know I emphasized a lot in my coaching, but which I don't see very much elsewhere in terms of especially HOTS and coaching and things like that. As I even watch like lead coaches and things like that. And granted, the game is much more about laning and some other things, item decisions and build optimizations and stuff like that. But okay, the concept that mainly I want to emphasize here is that team fights are won a lot of the times before they start. Now, this is more true, much more true in HOTS than it is in League. In League is much more, I would say, micro and Twitch-based kind of reactive gameplay, where it's, did you flash this key combo? It's, did you dodge this skill shot? Kind of these things are much more reactive and fast-paced. Whereas in HOTS, there's a little bit slower pace to the team fights. Part of that is because of dedicated healers as a primary role, as a function of the game. Also, it's just the time to kill kind of type things like that. Characters can't 1v9, kind of like the power scaling of offense versus defense is just much more regulated in the game overall. And so the pace of combat is generally slower. But this is, I think, the perfect example to illustrate this point, because I think I played this fight particularly well in a way that demonstrates this point, and there's an ability here that also emphasizes the point basically perfectly. Void Prison is pretty good, but I think here Leyline is the best example to demonstrate this. Leyline is not a CC. It is, but it isn't. It's like a root, but it isn't a root. What it does is it says your team is paused. I mean, granted, if you hit all 5 people, which we did in this case, and our team is not. So if a team fight is won before the fight starts, if we think we're losing the fight, we can change how the fight starts so that we become the people who win the fight, right? That's all that Leyline is doing. Now, granted, it does let you set up like some delayed, like, oh, I have a thing that, you could dodge it if you could move, but because you can't move because you're in the time stop, now that you can't dodge it, so it does hit. There is some factor of that. It is still a CC, but primarily the reason why Void Prison and Leyline are as powerful as they are as an ultimate is that they let you change how the team fight starts, or pause it in the middle in some cases, and adjust how it is going so that you can restart the fight in a different, primarily just positioning. I'm not even talking about spells or anything else. So I think it's helpful here. This is a team fight. There's a boss. It's very low health. It's about to die. It currently is going to fire a stun. If we do enough damage, this stun won't go off. Then there's going to be a capture point that spawns underneath here, and both of the teams are going to be competing to try and capture this boss, ideally, in theory. Potentially one team could say, we're giving it up, we're going to back off, we're going to not take this fight. I believe what has happened is that we have a bunch of minions, or we previously captured a boss, or we just captured our camp. That's what happened. And then we were rushing up here. So they were trying to sneak this boss before we could get here. But I had called it out, or we had called it out as a team. I don't remember exactly. This game is probably 5, if not 6, 7, maybe even 8 years old at this point. I don't remember exactly who the communication came from. But generally, I was one of the primary leaders of our comms on most of the teams that I played, as far as macro things like this. Anyway, I called that I thought we could make it here in time. So we had Medivh, we have portals, things like this. So some of our team made it here in advance, and they saw that the boss was very nearly dead. I made this call of, I think we can make it. Worst case scenario, it's like we face checked, they got the boss, we just had to portal back out and let them take it, right? So it was kind of a high risk, low reward type of play, where if we don't make it in time, all we have to do is back off, and we don't really lose anything for it. They just get the boss, which they were already going to get anyway. Okay. So that's part of the reason and thinking. But then I'm thinking, hey, we're up 2 levels, right? So we're going to be doing roughly 8% more. We're going to have 8% more health than them and deal about 8% more damage than them. They do have level 16 talents, but this is probably one of the better fights that we're going to get. They are pretty pressured on structures. We don't have any keeps down, so it's unlikely if they get this boss and wipe us that they could actually win the game, and then we'd still be ahead on XP, and then we could maybe still take a level 20 fight before their level 20, like they're at level 19, and we would get another maybe advantageous fight on the next objective, and then at that point maybe it would be an even almost 50-50 or we're still probably maybe even favored to win the game. Possibly we could look at the other boss. All these considerations are taking into account before we even get to the team fight. Okay, but the team fight starts. So what I want you to go one by one, and I'm going to do this out loud. Each person in this team fight, how is this team fight going to play out? And we're just paused right now. So right now the boss is about to die. This is Medivh right here. He just fired his ley line. There's a lurking arm, not directly on the point, but kind of near where the point would be. Here's our Garrosh, here's our Thrall, here's me on Jaina, and here's our healer on Tyrande. Notably, so Leyline's down, Tyrande doesn't have an ult. Then here is Sonya. She does have Leap. So I'm just going to I'm going to start with Sonya, okay? She has Leap. She's probably, and we can just look at the team comps here too. We have one tank and kind of a flex DPS, main burst DPS, and another flex DPS and a healer. So we have kind of like 2.5 DPS but one tank, and they have only one primary burst DPS in Kael'thas, although with Nano Boost, but that is unavailable. We see Ana does not have an ult. She might be Eye of Horus. I don't remember which ult she went in this game. He has Phoenix, I believe this is, or it might be Power Blast. I don't remember. I think it's Phoenix, though, that he's going to use as area control on the point. We have a Twin Blades Varian, and then we have a Flailing Swipes Stukov. Okay, so their team is kind of like two bruisers. Like neither one of these is the main tank. Varian kind of was the main tank here, but they're kind of double bruiser, double healer, double support with one DPS. So in theory, you would think they win the long fight because of the double healer, and we win the short fight because we are over-indexed on damage. We have high damage, but we only have one tank. So if they can either kill off our DPS because they can, or out-heal our damage, or if their double bruiser and DPS in Kael'thas can kill off our damage, or depending if they focus and kill off our tank, or maybe they kill off our healer if they catch them out of position or whatever, is that we're likely to lose those fights. So I would say this is kind of like a concept of who's the beatdown. Generally, there's on almost every single game, one team wants the short fight, one team wants the long fight. One team wants the fight to be stalled and go long and play the longer fight. One team wants the fight to end as quickly as possible. Our team wants the fight to end as quickly as possible. Their team wants to go long. Okay, that's generally the concept of how these team comps work out. So we have Taunt. I forget, she probably went Starfall this game. I don't remember what Tyrande's ult was. I have probably Welly, I believe. And then we have Earthquake. Okay. So how this fight plays out from me is the Lurking on the point and the Flailing Swipes on the point and maybe even the Phoenix and maybe even the Leap from Sonya. These are all tools that are area control, and they will be used by the people standing on the point to try and kill them. And if possibly our Medivh through protects and things like that, but primarily if our Garrosh ever gets too low HP and or dies or just has to back off the point, that is how they capture the boss. From our perspective, how we capture the boss is if we can take the short fight to where they no longer have healing, they will not out-sustain us in the long fight, and then we can deal with their bruisers afterwards, and hopefully their bruisers are not enough damage on their own to kill our Garrosh, that we can kill them fast enough and burst them before they can heal and sustain through our damage so that they can slowly whittle down our Garrosh's HP, and then we can stand on the point and win the boss. Okay. It's possible also that we just tried to burst the people that were standing on the point directly. That would be a little bit more difficult because Thrall is melee. Medivh is currently kind of in melee and stuck there, and he's also on a silence field by Stukov. Garrosh is going to be on a silence field by Stukov, so he might not be able to unstoppable himself also if he does get CC'd. But our healer is especially far, so if we committed all the way in onto the point right now to look at killing Sonya and Varian, first of all, it's probably going to take longer to kill them. A, they're just naturally tankier, but B, they have tools to escape, so Sonya could, in theory, leap away. Varian is going to have Protect, he's going to have some self-healing, things like that, so they're going to take a lot longer to kill. So if we're trying to kill people, we should probably kill the people that take less time to kill, right? It's just a generally easier concept. But also, especially, it's helpful and it's generally a good idea for our team to be closer to our healer, so that in the event that the fight does go in the medium length range, let's say, is that we don't just immediately lose because we died, is that we could get some sort of healing and maybe potentially even win the medium fight, in quote-unquotes. Generally, there's kind of like there's not really a medium fight, but like that's kind of the concept I'm going for. Okay. It's also generally, I would say, because they have so much area tools, it's a bad idea for us to commit all the way onto here, not only because we would be farther away from our healer and unable to likely get healing and support from our Tyrande, but also we would be clumping then 4 people all on such a small area, 2.5 of which are kind of melee. And me, I'm kind of medium range. Like, Jaina isn't really a long range mage. She's not Chromie. She's not, Hanzo, that type of thing. She's more of like medium, kind of almost short range mage. And so we would kind of be clumping 4 people there. And generally, if 2 targets is already good enough that they're already going to be trying to kill, if we doubled their damage by now making them, instead of dealing 2x damage, they're dealing 4x damage, it's probably just going to help them even more and make them win the short fight and the long fight, in which case it would just be a bad fight and we shouldn't take this fight and we should just back off, right? Okay. These are all the things that you're thinking about. I'm like probably 80% of those thoughts are going in my head, A, from draft as we're building these comps, but B, the whole game as to how the whole game has played out up until this point, but they're also going into my head as I see this picture, this snapshot picture. I need to think through all of that stuff in the next, realistically, less than 3 seconds. Realistically, if I could think through as much of that as possible on intuition in half a second, that would be ideal. Okay. So how I think this fight is going to play out. Sonya and Varian are going to come out of the time stop first. They're going to try and start hitting Medivh and or Garrosh. They're going to try and maintain standing on the point so that we cannot capture the boss, and they're going to attack the people that are in the silencing field, especially to prevent probably Garrosh from getting a taunt on their backline. They're going to try and body block and prevent their backline from being accessed. Okay. Medivh is probably going to start throwing Qs, trying to hit as many targets as possible and just continue getting Q resets, and then getting a good protect if he's out of the silence field, and maybe get a portal somewhere either to chase or to back off. Thrall is probably going to look at going primarily on their backline. He's going to drop an Earthquake. It's going to be big enough. It's going to hit all 5 people. It doesn't matter. Beyond that, he's going to probably try and root the squishies that are going away so that they cannot get in and access as much of their damage on them. And then he's probably going to try and kill the squishiest target he can access, which in this case is probably going to be Kael'thas. And then just, poke them with Q and things like that. Maybe save one to chase, either save the root to follow up on a CC, or chase them if they start trying to run away, use his Q to slow, whatever. Okay, Garrosh might be trying to throw one of them off of the point, or land a taunt on the backline, or use the throw. He might have Wrecking Ball. I don't remember the exact talents. Again, this is played possibly like 6 to 8 years ago or something. He might be able to get out of the silence and then throw Sonya to land on the backline and stun all of their backline. Our Tyrande at this point is just right-clicking and trying to get as close as possible, landing some sort of follow-up CC, maybe on a taunt, maybe on a root, landing her stun, and then just pumping heals into whoever needs it, probably Medivh at this point or whatever. Okay, Kael'thas, he's going to try and probably drop a Q. It, I believe, has Ignite here, but I'm not 100% sure, and Living Bombs, and probably land a stun on somebody important, probably the Thrall. If the Thrall starts coming towards him trying to fight him, he's probably going to try and stun Thrall. Ana, I don't know if has already sleep darted or not. She's probably going to try and drop a sleep dart to try and hit somebody who's running away, especially somebody they're currently in the process of trying to kill, maybe the person like Medivh, who's currently in the silence field. I don't know. Kael'thas might try and drop a Phoenix here, and then she's probably going to drop a grenade on the point to heal up her team once they start taking, 30% maybe chunk of damage, and to limit our healing once our Tyrande gets in range. And then Stukov, he's going to leave his silence field here for as long as it seems productive, or until he gets cancelled by something else. And then he might try and step forward and try and flailing swipes us down left this way, so that he pushes us off the point. The only person who could really avoid being on the point here, we could pre-set up a portal back here and then on the point directly, so that if we got pushed back, we could then take the portal and come back onto the point. Flailing Swipe should hit 3 times or whatever, so we might have to wait out the 3 times and then do that, and then it might be very tricky if we get that in like the 3-second window of the boss capture. It might be that they capture the boss as we're teleporting back in, which would be probably especially bad. But the only one who could really avoid getting pushed by Flailing Swipes is Garrosh with his Unstoppable. He would have to do that kind of reactively, and he would have to not be CC'd by, for example, a leap from Sonya to start with if that chained into it, and definitely be out of the silence field of the Stukov to ideally be able to do that. So from my perspective, I'm playing Jaina here. I think, as we've kind of focused, the team fight is going to be happening right here in this area. Hopefully you can see my mouse circling that. It's going to be all up in there, kind of between where Kael'thas is, where Thrall is, and then where, Garrosh and Sonya and Varian are in the boss and on this point. That's where the team fight, that's it, for lack of a better term, that's where the clusterfuck is happening, okay, right? So I don't want to be there. I'm squishy. Yeah, killing these people is good, but really I'm trying to kill these people. I don't want to get pushed off the point because then I can't help my team. Again, I'm a medium short range mage or whatever. So if I want to get pushed somewhere, I either want to get pushed into a wall towards the point, which again is where the clusterfuck is going to be happening, and all the AoEs are going to be overlapping and they're going to be getting 4 times damage too. I don't want to take a living bomb get spread onto me from Garrosh or from Thrall or from Medivh, right? All these type of things. I ideally don't want to get anti-healinged by a grenade from Ana. I don't want to contribute to Ana's healing by stacking more people in this area so that Ana's healing grenade heals more because it hits more targets. I believe that's either a talent or that's a baseline thing. Anyway, so from my perspective, okay, I'm going to go frame by frame here. I see we hit our ley line down in time. I see this is happening. This is how the team fight's looking. My Medivh has noticed this is happening. He's trying to get out of the silence field while he can during the time stop. And then it looks like the boss is going to die in time, and now the capture point has started. And so we can see the capture is starting. You can see the Thrall is running forward towards the Kael'thas. Our Tyrande now is kind of in frame. We can see now the Tyrande has also identified this is how the teamfight's going to play out. We need to burst their backline. So instead of running back here to our tank, who's going to be full HP, he's only going to take two bruisers worth of damage. These are not like Vala and somebody else. He's not going to get like chunked immediately and die 100-0 in like 2 seconds, right? He's pretty tanky. He can probably survive. He's also going to have a protect from the Medivh if he needs it. What Tyrande needs to do is to be able to land a stun here to prevent their healing. If we prevent their healing, we can make the fight shorter. We're trying to make the fight short. So preventing their healing by stunning them when they're trying to heal is good. And then I'm going to go a couple more frames. So like we didn't have vision fully on them here, I think, until the ley line landed. I wish I could show this in the actual replay. And they also don't have vision of us, right? Like they don't know where Tyrande is yet. There's some minions that are kind of down here in the lane. It's a little hard to see because of the quality, but like the first minion is like right here for red team, and our furthest blue minion is right here for blue team, I think. Or maybe this is the furthest red minion. I can't exactly tell, but they can't see past this rock and these bushes, right? So they can't see Tyrande. They probably can't even see me yet, although the people on the point can maybe see me now. Okay, but I'm going to keep going a little bit more forward, a little bit more forward, a little bit more forward. They are contesting the point, I believe, even though they're time stopped. While they're on the point, that does contest the point. You can see our Garrosh is trying to get on the back side of the point, the back and right, so that he's not in the silence, so that he can use his unstoppable if he needs to. I can see my Medivh is going for this. This looks like a juicy Medivh Q, right? It's going to hit all 3 squishy people that we're trying to burst down. You can see Tyrande is now close enough. If she had her ult, she could maybe Starfall, but now she can do auto attacks, which helps reduce her healing cooldown. She's still in close proximity to us. She can heal from over the wall, but they kind of have an awkward choice where they can dump their, line directional, like Kael'thas stun. That was something I didn't talk about. If you trait and then stun, it goes through multiple people. So it's also bad that we're lined up against this rock. It could potentially hit all 3 of us and stun all 3 of us, but he has to make an XYZ choice, right? He has like ABC, and he can fire it up that way, up horizontally that way, or down that way. But he's only going to be able to do one of those 3 directions. So essentially 2/3 of us are automatically safe, although not ideally because currently there's 3 of us lined up here. Hitting Thrall's root might reduce his cooldowns if he hits multiple people, and things like that, but I think it also gives him healing, but it's also just good to root 3 people, right? Especially as setup for like a Tyrande stun, things like that. Okay, and then so you can see this is, I've moved forward maybe like 8 frames or something, maybe like 10 frames. This video is probably at 30 FPS, but like, so I've maybe processed so far half a second, maybe 1 full second of how this team fight is playing out. And then, so you can see I'm going forward. I'm on the same vibe of my team. this is where the team fight now is. It's not over here. We're changing the team fight. Now it's going to be over here. Okay? Do you see that? Do you see how that's happened in half a second? We're changing. We've not used any spells yet. Literally, we're all still mounted. Except for Garrosh and Medivh, I guess. I mean, Medivh cast Leyline, but okay, that's the one spell that got used. And technically the Stukov Silence. The teamfight hasn't started yet. We're still in just the positioning before the teamfight starts, okay? But we just changed how the teamfight would start. Now, I think the previous fight would have been relatively okay for us. I still think we could have taken that fight, but this fight looks a lot better to me, okay? This is what I'm trying to emphasize. This fight over in here, this is a much better clusterfuck because we're spread out, we're in a concave, they're all clustered together. Now we're the ones getting 4 times value instead of them. Ideally, I think we would be spread out even more. But now they're also in conflict of if we're stacked up here and maybe up here and maybe down here, them killing our healer is not that important to us. We're trying to play the fight short anyway. So if they kill our healer, but we kill all of them in the meantime, it doesn't matter that we don't have any healing because the fight's over with. We don't need the healing in a longer fight, right? Okay. So all this is happening. We're just changing how the fight has started, but the fight still yet has not started, okay? That's the important thing that I'm trying to make you realize. All of the processing of who is going to win the fight happens before the fight starts. By the time the fight has started, who is going to win that fight is already almost probably, like, I can predict how each person, each 5 people is going to play this fight just by how they're positioned before the fight has ever started, before anyone is even dismounted. Okay, so we're going to keep going forward a couple more frames, okay? So I'm still on the same page as my team. We all have the same idea in our head of how this team fight's going to play out. All 10 players, I mean, these are all like GM Master tier players or whatever at the time. Sorry, I'm going to take a drink for a second. We all have this identical imagined thought in our head of how this teamfight's going to play out. I think all 10 people in the game have the competency to do this, of the thing that I'm explaining. Now, it's taking me 20 minutes to explain it. But again, we're all processing this in the span of like half a second, maybe 1 to 2 full seconds is all it takes to process all of that information that I've explained out loud, okay? Now, granted, a lot of it has been processed by playing hundreds of games before this, of learning how the champions work, how the teamfights play out as that hero, as that champion. Over the course of the game, again, we've been thinking of this. We've had 17 minutes now, but all of the draft time also to think about how these things would be playing out. So we've had a bit more prep time than this. But again, all that preparation is what allows us to do this in half a second, in 1 second, in 2 seconds. You need to have that speed of processing in order to make the right decisions, right? Like, I can't decide, should I be up here with Garrosh? Should I be down here with Tyrande? Should I be over here with my team? I can't decide that unless I can process that that's how the fight is going to play out in the first place, okay? I can't decide between options A, B, and C if I don't know what A, B, and C are going to be as options, okay? I'm explaining this very thoroughly because, like, again, I think this is a very good example to demonstrate this, but this is happening in every team fight, whether it starts with a ley line or not. There's a fight, or there's a moment when the fight starts, and there's the positioning before that is what determines that fight. Generally, that fight is going to play out very predictably once that moment happens, to where the kind of ways that each person is going to deal with that fight, some of it depends on like matchup knowledge and certain things and certain choices they make of, do I stun on the point or do I stun the Jaina, like as Kael'thas? Like, there are some decision points, but for the most part, the general game plan, the general vague kind of larger macro structure, you're looking at the forest and not the individual trees. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Here is the general vibe of how the team fight is going to play out. Okay, so it looks like they actually don't contest during the time stop. That might have been a change that happened at some point. I don't remember, or that might just be how it's always worked. I just couldn't remember perfectly accurately. Anyway, it looks like we are kind of mostly capturing this boss, but they're probably going to come out of time stop enough to for us to have to kill them or pressure them off the point, health-wise, for us to actually capture this boss. Okay, I move forward one more frame, still going forward. Still going forward, still going forward, still going forward. Here, this frame. Okay, what happened to this frame? I went from clicking forward. Maybe it's even the frame before. Right now, My mouse is down here. It's actually down over here. I'm now clicking away from this area. Because in my head, I can see how this is going to play out. We've now again created a 4-clump clusterfuck over here of ourselves. It's a clusterfuck here versus a clusterfuck here. I don't like being in the clusterfuck, okay? I'm squishy. I'm short range. I don't want to get pushed or stunned into this silence field. Then I can't do shit as a mage. And I especially don't want to get flailing swiped and get in melee range of the Twin Blades Varian and the Sonya. I don't want to get leaped on by the Sonya in the clusterfuck with my whole team. I don't want to get living bombed and all these other things again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click away from my team, and I'm going to stay mounted, even though shit's going down now. Okay, shit's going down. Shit's going down. I'm still clicking away. Okay, my team's now fighting. Garrosh is like auto-attacking people. Thrall, Kael'thas are out of the thing. Again, I've still been clicking away this whole time. I clicked maybe forward one more time. Let me see what happened here exactly. Okay, so I was clicking away, then the time stop went out. I clicked forward once for like 3 frames, 4, 5 frames, 6, okay, maybe 6 frames. Something like that. Let me see, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Anyway, but I turned back around because I decided this is not a good fight for me. Okay, so Varian protects. Again, he's trying to live as long as possible. The sooner he protects, the sooner he can protect a second time. So this actually maximizes his ability to probably stay on the point, even if he's not taking the most amount of damage at this very second. A sleep comes out, an unstoppable comes out for a leap. Garrosh does taunt on the point because he's trying to keep the people on the point separated from the rest of their team. You can see Tyrande walked all the way in and also got slept, so 2 of our team got slept. Medivh had to back out. He got chunked for half his HP off the initial, probably just auto attacks and damage of like a Sonya Slam or something as they came out of the thing. Kael'thas hasn't dropped any Q or Living Bomb yet. But 3 of our team is CC'd. 1 of our team is already half HP. Their team just gets to start hitting us. That looked like a Sonya Slam going down. Okay, here's a Kael'thas stun coming out, hitting our Tyrande again. It's actually kind of good that our Tyrande body blocks this potentially instead of these people. Medivh is just backing off. He's trying to not stand on the point. It doesn't help if Medivh gets hit by AoEs that are locked on the point. Medivh wants to stand away from the point and just pelt Qs into them. They're going to be standing still. It's probably going to be pretty easy to hit Qs. Okay, here's a big moment. Flailing Swipes comes out. It does exactly what I expected it would do. It went towards the clusterfucks, right? But now look at where I am as this was happening. I was clicking down over here, and I decided it would be much better if I accessed the backline not from up here, but from down here. And all their attention is going to be focused up here. I'm off vision entirely right now. They might think I'm over here by the Medivh. They don't know where I am. They probably saw me back off this way. In theory, if they were paying attention, they should know that I'm looping around here. They probably did know that in the moment, but their focus is now here. The fight started, okay? Their focus and attention is here. They can't really pay active attention to me coming around this side. And is it really worth for them, for example, to use the Kael'thas stun and Flailing Swipes just on me? Okay, what I did is I changed their equation from being like 5 good things to hit to like 4 versus 1. And like, it's still pretty likely that they're going to aim for the 4 instead of the 1, right? They're going to get 4 times value opening it up over here. So I'm making myself both a higher threat and a lower threat simultaneously. I'm messing with their perception so that they can't process this as quickly, and their attention is distracted so that they also can't process it as focused or accurately or as quickly, okay? These are all the factors. Again, I would say at this point, the team fight still probably hasn't started yet. Okay, when the Flailing Swipes comes out, the team fight starts. This is now when the team fight has started, because now our Tyrande is out of position and going to die. Our Thrall is kind of out of position. He's already also half HP, and he's probably going to die. Okay, if the fight continued from here, where they can now, this is a Living Bomb on Garrosh. There's going to be 4 people on my team that are going to get hit by this Living Bomb, most likely, because the Flailing Swipes are going to just knock everybody here. They're going to knock us off the point. He couldn't unstoppable in time. Okay, but what happens here? I drop a Blizzard on all 3 of their backline. Here it's the Phoenix is coming out from the Kael'thas. So I drop a Blizzard. This is the rain of the Blizzard coming down on all their backline. Boom, chunked. All three of them by like 10%, maybe even 20%. Then I'm going to cast E. I'm going to root two of them in my Blizzard. This is the Stukov and the Kael'thas. So now I'm saying, hey, your attention, you were trying to combo all up over here. You're going to try and follow up on your Living Bomb that's going to chain to us and explode and kill my whole team, trying to focus on winning this point because you pushed us off of it. I'm saying, hey, your attention now has to be down here. Down over here. And their camera is more zoomed in than this, okay? Like, their camera isn't... I think they're zoomed out at least one level here on this replay. But so I'm saying, Poke, I'm distracting you down here. You can't pay attention up here and down here at the same time. You got to choose. Can your eyes focus up here or can they focus down here? So then I drop my E, then I drop a Q. It chunks first the Kael'thas, then the other guy. So now this guy's at like 130 HP, this guy's at 40% HP. And I'm just bursting them. I've probably activated Icy Veins at this point. I dropped my Water Ellie that's behind them. He's also going to start hitting them. They get some healing. Again, they have double supports, so they're trying to extend the fight for as long as possible. So if our goal was kill their backline squishies, their goal is heal up the backline squishies. Their frontline can probably live for a period of time. Again, the living bombs are spreading. We're trying to protect our team as much as possible from not dying. Somebody landed a good stun here. That was Garrosh or Tyrande? I don't know. Somebody landed a good stun here, and then Thrall got a root through them. Okay. But I have Icy Veins, so my cooldowns are pretty short. So that was the third rain of the Blizzard. Then here, I think I'm going to get another Q going forward. Or I'm chasing with my Welly. I'm even just auto-attacking, but here's a Q I think I fired out. So that's going to finish off the Stukov. Now they're down to one healer. In the meantime, my Tyrande has been free hitting their whole bruisers. My Garrosh has been free hitting their whole bruisers. My Medivh, this whole time, has been pelting Qs into their bruisers. They've been taunted. And my Thrall has been able to melee hit them, hitting them. He threw a wolf through them. He's been bouncing Qs through them. They're all been taking damage this whole time. Their healers have been focused on the Kael'thas and themselves. Their healers, their attention was focused on their own health bar, not over here to my team. Okay, and it looks like a Medivh Q or maybe my Q finished him off there. I don't know. This is the projectile of mine. This is the projectile of the Medivh. Looks like they both collide basically the exact same frame. Okay, so I don't know who killed the Medivh there. It looks like me because I get credit for it. Easy. All right. So I still have Icy Veins going. Then I'm going to probably continue firing. Kael'thas is putting a Q underneath me. I'm not scared of a Q. I've been full HP this whole time. He's still lower HP than me. I still have my Welly out. I'm going to try and dodge it. But also, I'm just going to try and... He's still chilled from my earlier Blizzard and Qs that I put through him. I'm going to get another E to root him. Now I can't miss my second Q. I'm going to drop a Blizzard, preventing him from running away more this way. I want him going towards my team, because I can see we're winning this fight now. We've already killed one person. So I cut off his escape. I Q through him another time again. My Welly is hitting him. Now, in my head, how this has been playing out... At my current moment, I have no idea what's going on over here. It's like out of my vision. My screen is panned way down here. I'm looking at the Ana and the Kael'thas primarily. I've been only focused on these three people the entire time in this team fight. It was never my job in the entire team fight to kill Sonya and Varian. That was simply not my job. It was not something I would be able to do. I don't want to get close to them in the first place. They're going to be on point. I didn't want to be in the clusterfuck on the point. Okay. But in my head, I've been tracking. Remember, this teamfight started around 17 minutes. Tyrande got stunned as one of the first things in the fight. I know generally, I have a sense, this is intuitive. I'm not counting out loud to myself, nor am I looking at the clock. Okay, it's just a vague sense of just how much time has passed in this teamfight so far. I think around 10 seconds, maybe 12 seconds. I don't know, maybe 8 seconds. I just have a sense that it's somewhere in that 8 to 12 second range. That's about how long I expect the teamfight to last for. I see him apply a living bomb on me. Now I know that has a pretty similar time to right here. He applies the living bomb, okay? You can see this is my health, not yet. Boom, he applies the living bomb here at 10 seconds. There's other clues. I have a sense in my head here of how long the Living Bomb cooldown is, and how long my E cooldown is, actually also, although it's a little bit messed up because of Icy Veins. Living Bomb and his stun are sort of similar cooldown. Okay. And my Blizzard has come back. That's a third clue. Okay, my Blizzard is also on about a 14 to 12 second cooldown. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so I know all these things are around similar cooldowns, which means the one thing I haven't talked about yet, his stun is on a similar cooldown. So I know he Living Bombed me. He just placed a Q. It missed. It went off. It didn't hit me. He's 1 HP. I just fired another Frostbolt at him. I have Icy Veins going. I have Welly on him. The only way he kills me is if he prevents me from doing more damage. He has to stun me and then land another round of spells of some kind, a Q. He has to stall enough time for his Ana to get another healing dart and maybe a grenade on him so that he doesn't die to the Welly. He has to stun me, okay? So I create some distance, and then I Ice Block. I prevent his Living Bomb damage, and I know he's going to be trying to stun me. So here's his stun. It's a purple mist tornado thing. It's going through me right now, okay? He's in my Blizzard still. This Blizzard is, I believe, what kills him. But then I dodge his stun because I'm in my Ice Block. I actually cancel my Ice Block halfway early because the threat is no longer on me, okay? Now, right at this moment, cancel Ice Block. Now is where I pay attention to the point in my team. They've been pelting their bruisers the whole time. Their healers have been distracted. One went in, one went out. Okay, they were not coordinated, and I was trying to kill their Kel'Thas. Their healer, one of them couldn't heal the Kel'Thas anymore because I killed him first, and then the second healer backed off and couldn't really easily land Qs because of the angle, right? Their angle was changing. He was running this way, changing angle to Ana. He wasn't running in a straight line towards the Ana. Otherwise, I would have blocked off and placed the Blizzard probably over here. Okay. So now is the first moment where I start looking at the point and seeing what I need to do. So I start clicking towards the point. I still have maybe a Q and an E that I could use here, but I can see it's one person in the middle of 4 people over here. My Welly's ranged, so I see that guy's gonna die. We're gonna get the boss. Okay, that happened. I immediately, boom, I'm already clicking now towards the Ana. I'm saying I want to chase this Ana. She might be in aim down sights. She might be still chilled. I don't know. I could probably see that on my own UI if I was actually as Jaina here. But I can maybe send Welly to tag her or something. That we could potentially chase her down. Or maybe I can land a Q over this wall or something. So I start chasing the Ana. My Medivh might even call out Portal here. He might not even call Portal. But okay, here's Portal spawns. Okay, here's how many frames pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Again, my camera is all the way over here looking at Ana. But boom, it's like whatever that was, 13, 14 frames or something. I have already turned around and I'm going to click this portal. Because I can see this will get me there faster. So your reaction time here is like half a second to, again, all these things changes, whether they're called ahead of time or not. Now, ideally, they are called ahead of time. But, okay, so now I unpause. We go chase the Ana. She gets hit by a second ley line. Kind of overkill and a bit rude, but yeah, okay. So then we kill Ana. I think we go on to win this game. But this whole thing, what I've just spent 40 minutes explaining, was like 20 seconds of time, okay? But that whole team fight played out that way from way back here. All because we started the team fight off right. So now I'm just gonna like play it in normal speed, I think. Let me double check that that's normal speed. I don't know if I can do that, but whatever, okay. So like this is how the team fight that played out. This is the actual speed that it went through at or whatever. And all of that is, again, processing in my head in real time. That whole length of 20 seconds, I'm processing all those different things that change as it changes, as it adapts. I have to make a new decision. Okay, I killed target 1. Who's my second target? Generally, I'm planning that before the first target dies. If I think I can kill the first target 1, because I generally know a sense of how much damage I'm able to do with a round of spells, I can know, okay, I look like I think I'm going to be able to kill him here, also based on my positioning. Who would be my target after I kill target 1? I think it should be target 2. And then I adjust that if they start running away or if somebody new blinks on top of me or something, maybe I change targets. But for the most part, I have a plan of who I think it's going to be so that I don't need to react to it. I can generally start planning my second round of spells as I'm firing the first round of spells, kind of. Then I'm only paying attention to where the positioning is, so I can see if I need to change my plan. If I don't need to change my plan, I continue doing that plan, and generally it's probably going to be a pretty good plan. So I'm probably going to be doing pretty well. And if something unexpected happens, then I can learn from it and adjust my plans in the future. But all that team fight played out was solely because we changed how the start of the team fight happened. And that's what made it especially favorable for us, right? That ended up being a 5-for-0 team fight. At the start, did everybody looking at this video know that that would be a 5-for-0 team fight? Now, I didn't know that it would be a 5-for-0 team fight. I thought it would end up being probably like they kill 1 or 2 of us, we probably kill like 3 or 4 of them, or 2 or 3 of them, but we generally still win that fight. I thought it was an advantageous fight for us. That's why we chose to take the fight. Again, it was kind of a high risk or a low risk, high reward type thing anyway, because if it looked like a bad fight, we could always portal out. Cast Protect on ourselves, portal out, maybe throw a Wrecking Ball, stun at them so that they can't chase us. It would be a little dangerous if we got leapt on by Sonya or something, but we were spread out at the start of it. We weren't all running in all as a clump, right? Back here, Medivh's in bird form. It's Garrosh going in first, then another group of 2, and then a separate thing. So we're not generally all like in a 4 or 5 person clump to all get leapt on and die immediately or bursted out. And luckily they got also time stopped by the ley line before they could really engage onto us proactively. So because we changed how the fight started, we dictated how the entire rest of the fight was going to play out. We won the fight before the fight started. That's the point that I'm trying to make. The fights are won before the fight starts. Win or lost before the fight starts. It's how the fight starts that determines who wins or loses the fight. Basically always, okay? The choices in the fight are fairly deterministic and fairly straightforward. There's some A to B to C choices, but for the most part, each person's role in the fight is pretty clearly defined from draft even for how they should try to play out the fights. If this was a fight where we were completely zoned off, their carries did not have an accessible way to come around like this, and I had to stay up here on the point and things like that, or maybe I had to only focus the Sonya and the Varian, and I had to stand on top of them, and I had to get living bombed, exploded on 2 or 3 more times. I had to stand in the silence or take the Phoenix damage, get flailing swiped into the wall. If that was how the fight looked like it would go, maybe we wouldn't even take this fight in the first place, or I wouldn't step up into the fight in the first place, and maybe we would just say, oh, our Garrosh got caught, he has to die, the 4 of us should escape and back off because the fight doesn't look good. But you have to be able to process at that speed in order to make that decision at that speed. But the fights are won before they start, okay? People think a lot of stuff is like micro, of like the Twitch reaction stuff, and it is in some other games like League, like I said. But generally, the middle of the fight is already very kind of scripted and predetermined almost from how the fight starts. That I could tell exactly how all those 5 people were going to play. And generally, all of them followed my script, right? That's basically what happened. Now, is that an advantage because these are my teammates and I already saw this replay and I remember it and it's very memorable and it stuck with me for 6 years later? Sure. That's part of why I know those things. But you can see in how I played the fight that I'm not just coming at this with hindsight. You can see in how I played the fight and how I made my decisions in the fight that is how I thought of the fight in the moment. That's why this is important and has stuck with me. It is not because this was a moment that I learned from later. This is a moment that I remember that I processed at that speed in real time, processed it correctly, made the correct change in decision in the moment in real time. And because I made that adjustment, we won the fight 5-0. It was a complete stomp in this fight because I was able to access the backline separate from my team and I changed my position. It was nobody else really changed their position in the fight. I made the decision to change my position in the fight, and that's what made the difference in how the fight played out. Was because I was in a different position. The fight went from maybe slightly favored in our favor to dominantly favored in our favor. Because I made the decision and I could process it in real time. That's why it stuck with me. I'm not using hindsight here to say that I knew everything that was going to happen, and that's why, oh, look, I'm so good, whatever, I only learned this after the fact, but now I know all the right answers, of course I'm acing the test. No. I'm saying this is an example of how I could provably demonstrate that I processed all this stuff in the moment. I'm not saying it to hype myself up, obviously. Hopefully that's the purpose has made that clear after I'm 45 minutes into the video or whatever, and I'm only talking about this 6 years later. Granted, at the time, I included this in this video because I was trying to hype myself up. That was very clear. But that was for CCL type stuff. But anyway, but I'm not saying this to hype myself up now. I don't really play HOTS actively anymore, and I have not for several years. But the purpose is not to hype myself up. The purpose is to demonstrate this point because I see it so often overlooked or unmentioned entirely in other people's coaching, and it's not emphasized. People focus so much more on the micro aspects of in the middle of the fight when your decision making is having to be made as a gut instinct on the fly and things like that. But the fight generally is won or lost before the fight even starts, okay? And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, and that's what I wish would be emphasized more. And this was such a clear, perfect example, and it stuck with me so clearly and vividly that I thought it would be worth talking about, 6 years later or whatever. And if not, it's just a rare HOTS experience, fun to look back on after so much time separation. It's been probably at least like 3 years, I think, since I've last played really actively, if not more than that. But yeah, just a fun thing to see a Rio video in the year 2026. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I miss doing coaching and things like that, but I've gotten my fix a little bit with League in the meantime, so that's all I got.